I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Carangelo?
Here.
Mrs. Chu?
Here.
Mr. Sismar?
Here.
Mrs. Guas?
Here.
Mr. Hahn?
Here.
Mrs. Reese? Mr. Winston?
Here.
And President Lax.
Here. We have a quorum. Please rise to salute the flag. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices. Written notice was also provided to the Sentinel, the Newark Star Ledger, the Home News and Tribune, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of executive session discussions, are videotaped for later broadcast. It is the policy of the Board of Education that videotape meetings are not edited for any purposes. Individuals who speak to the board's public meetings should be aware of these videotaping rules. Good evening. We'll start with Dr. Valesky's report.
Thank you, President Lax, and good evening, everyone. The artwork in the boardroom this evening reflects the efforts of talented students at Chittick Elementary School. Their teachers are Greg Barron and Jessica Martell. Christine Shea is the principal. This past week, our current 4th and 5th grade students visited Hammersholt. They enjoyed a virtual tour, played trivia, and joined in fun team-building games. After eating lunch, they headed back to their elementary schools, excited, looking forward to their soon-to-be upper elementary experience. The butterfly effect of kindness is spreading throughout Churchill Junior High School. English teachers Kathy Merton and Edith Weinstein have initiated this project with the hopes of it spreading throughout their building, the local community, and even globally. This idea was originally created by Chris Rosati, a man who was diagnosed with ALS and wanted to make a positive impact with whatever time he had left. He focused on today's youth, wanting to give them the same opportunity to spread their wings and create positive change. The butterfly effect teaches that every single thing you do matters. Within you, there is the power to change the world. For this reason, the Butterfly Kindness Initiative project was created to give students the opportunity to help spread their own kindness using a butterfly grant provided by the East Brunswick Education Foundation. In addition, random acts of kindness are popping up all over the school, spreading positivity and spirit. Churchill Junior High School's lobby has been transformed into a colorful garden of butterflies that display students' good deeds. Earlier today, 22 student athletes signed letters of commitment to play in their sport at the collegiate level. And we wish them well as they continue their academic and athletic success. On Sunday, April 10th, President Lax and Vice President Guas were hanging out at the with the East Brunswick Bear at the Daisy Breakfast. All proceeds from this event benefited the special children of the Daisy Recreational Program. At Churchill Junior High School, site work is underway for the incoming temporary classroom units. Footing and foundation work began this week for the TCUs that are expected to be delivered this June. This project is on track for student occupancy in September of 2022. At East Brunswick High School, the stadium field track and replacement project is also underway. The old turf was removed prior to the spring break, and all of the old material has been removed from the site. And as you can see from this image, it is gone, and that substrate is covered up. We look forward to the new field. The underground drainage system has been inspected and tested, and initial reporting is it did not sustain damage during the tropical storm that destroyed the field. This project includes a complete new field, new track replacement, and again is scheduled to be open September 2022. Third quarter report cards can be viewed online through Parent Access on Tuesday, April 26th. Hard copies will be made available at the request of anyone without internet access. And this evening, Mr. Pulaski's IPPL Honors students will be discussing their participation in the Urban Planning Project, sharing their winning proposal, And this event was judged by elected officials and industry experts. We look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. So much exciting stuff. And more exciting stuff, we have some resolutions. Leewu, you want to start off with the first one for bowling?
Lee Wu, do we want to go around front?
My pleasure to be there. So, good evening. So resolution of, sorry, I should wait for.
No, that's okay.
So resolution of commendation, 2022 NJSIAA State Champion Bowling. Move that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Whereas skillful play along with motivation, determination, and exemplary sportsmanship lead one East Brunswick High School senior, Mackenzie Kenny, to NJSIAA Girls Bowling Individual State Champion. And whereas over 500 girls across the state of New Jersey attempt to qualify for this tournament, only 80 qualified. And whereas at the state championship, Mackenzie bowled 258, 222, which placed her first in the state. Mackenzie was else named the New Jersey State Bowler of the Year. And whereas this accomplishment and a tribute to the dedication and commitment of Mackenzie has brought local and state recognition to her school and the district and to the community. And now, therefore, be it resolved that East Brunswick Board of Education recognize and commend East Brunswick High School senior Mackenzie King and her coach, Amy Brand, for this outstanding achievement.
May I please have a motion? Motion by Mrs. Becker, second by Mr. Colangelo. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Mackenzie.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Stay right here a second. I got to see Mackenzie this morning at the signing, actually this afternoon at the signing ceremony. And what's ironic is her bowling score and my golf score are exactly the same.
Where is the coach?
She's not here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have a resolution of appreciation, Administrative Professionals Day. Whereas administrative professionals are partners in the education of our students, and whereas administrative professionals play a major role in creating an environment that is conducive to learning in our schools, and whereas administrative professionals provide valuable services to our students, faculty, staff, parents, and other members of the community, and whereas administrative professionals are essential to the efficient, effective operation of the schools, and whereas administrative professionals facilitate important communication between the schools, parents, and other members of the community, and whereas administrative professionals help to maintain the excellent reputation of the district, now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education proclaims Wednesday, April 27th, 2022 as Administrative Professionals Day in the district and expresses appreciation to our administrative professionals for their dedication and commitment to our students and our schools.
May I please have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hong, second by Mrs. Becker. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Dr. Simbicki, flip. You got to go solo this time.
Motion
Congratulations.
Okay, next one. Whereas all members of the faculty and staff contribute to the excellence of the school district, And whereas all members of the faculty and staff are partners in the education of our students, and whereas all members of the faculty and staff play an essential role in creating a welcoming and secure learning atmosphere in which all students are able to achieve to the fullest extent, and whereas the dedication and commitment of all members of the faculty and staff are directly related to the outstanding accomplishments of our students, and whereas there is no greater legacy than the sound education our students receive, now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education proclaims May 2nd through 6th, 2022 as Faculty Staff Appreciation Week and commends all members of the faculty and support staff for their time and effort they devote to our students. We have a motion? Mrs. Becker?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Hong? Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. First, I want to thank every single staff and faculty members in our school district. You guys are the business card of East Brunswick. When people come to before they come to East Brunswick, they look up, how's the school doing? So they will talk to people, and then they will know that our East Brunswick School District has wonderful faculty members, staff members, and administrative team, led by Dr. Pulaski. So I'm so proud of you. You deserve any appreciation from the board. Thank you very much.
I agree. And actually, this is my, I think, 11th year doing staff appreciation. And it's always a week, but you deserve it every single day. We can't thank you enough, so.
Dr. Zwicky?
A motion.
Motion. All in favor?
Oh, you need a motion on the table.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Motion by Mrs. Becker,
Second.
second by Mr. Hong. Why can't we say that? Because we just did discussion.
That was the previous one.
Okay, keep me on my toes. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Congratulations. Honestly, every day, every day.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Can I carry your books for you?
Yeah. Here are the heavy ones.
Move that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Whereas our PTA spent countless hours supporting our 11 schools and more than 8,300 students, contributing greatly to their school communities and helping promote a positive school culture. And whereas our PTAs fundraise extensively so that they may give technology and playground equipment, fund mini grants to teachers, provide scholarships, and so much more. And whereas the PTAs generously arrange for and fund special programs, authors and illustrators, music and dance, history and science assemblies, and workshops that enhance and enrich the learning environment for our students. And whereas all those involved in our PTAs are wonderful examples for our students, modeling good citizenship and the importance of doing one's share to make the world a better place. Now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education gratefully acknowledges the incredible support of the PTAs and their dedicated service and devotion to students and staff. Further be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education would like to extend a very special thank you to the President of PTA President's Council, Jamie Wasserman, who has supported and encouraged the PTAs in all of their efforts.
Okay, please have a motion. Mrs. Becker?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Ross. Would you like to kick off the discussion? Go ahead.
Yes. So as a former PTA president, I know how hard you all work. I mean, I really do. I know the time it takes away from your families. I know the aggravation, but I also know the rewards. Some people think it's a thankless job, but the PTAs are the heart and soul of our schools. And you know what you do for your buildings, for your students, and the building staff is what makes it worth going there every single day. It's not a thankless job. It's kind of a wonderful job. But we thank you so much for everything you do and all the time you spend. So we'd like to recognize each PTA president, starting with thank you.
We're not there yet.
No?
We're still in discussion.
Oh, okay.
Almost there, almost there. But no, you're absolutely right. It's not coincidental that the PTAs came after staff appreciation, because while I said I enjoy doing staff appreciation, I did that as a member, a proud member of the PTAs, and they do help our staff to do some of the wonderful things that they can do in these schools. The funding, partners like the PTA make everything a lot easier. Mr. Hahn?
Yes, I concur Ms. Baker and President-elect's comments. One additional comment I want to make is, the PTA is the bridge between the community and the school district. Your guys' job is more than just fundraising. You guys just try to build good relationship between East Brunswick Public School and East Brunswick community. Without your job, I believe Dr. Velasquez's job will be more challenging than ever. So you guys deserve the resolution, the appreciation for whatever, you do deserve it. Thank you very much. I hope you guys keep doing a good job. Help us to build East Brunswick Public School better and next level. Thank you.
Great point. Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Bring those
Yeah.
PTA people up.
Okay, thank yous. To Bound Monroe, PTA and President, Robin Pastelli. Okay, we still thank her. Central PTA and President, Courtney Blumick. Chittick PTA and President, Nidhi Sinha.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for all your hard work. Churchill PTA and President Jamie Wasserman.
Congratulations. Thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. East Brunswick High School PTSA and President Wanda Miller.
Woo-woo!
Thank you.
Thank you. You may as well just stay here. Okay, I'll wait here. Yeah, just stay there. Frost PTA and President Christine Wall. Hammersholt PTA and President Wanda Miller. God bless you. God bless you.
I have 10 weeks left.
10 weeks left. It's like a sentence, okay. Irwin PTA and President, Nada Soto. Lawrence Brook PTA President, Linda Graham. Memorial PTA and President, Brianne Morey. And Warnsdorfer PTA and President, Heather James.
Congratulations.
We appreciate it.
Congratulations for your mom.
Future volunteers.
Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for sharing your mom with us. We appreciate it. Congratulations to all the people.
And Vicki, Mrs. Becker, Mrs. Becker, Mrs. Becker,
Vicki.
Mrs. Becker.
What'd you forget?
Oh, yes, Jamie again. Because it's not only enough that she's head of a specific PTA at a school. Jamie Wasserman is the president of the PTA Council, and for that, we are unbelievably grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your oldest graduating?
No.
Good, okay. Because if so, we would have
I have
held
a
them,
sixth
we would have
grader to
held
hold
them
her back
back.
for
Yes,
years.
absolutely.
Jamie, thanks
Okay,
for all.
thank
We
you.
see a theme out there of some of our special PTA people that take on multiple roles. There was two such women. So for some of you younger parents, the elementary parents coming up, just know that Wanda and Jamie's kids will be aging out soon. And Wanda's such a special person that she's kept me at Hammersholt years after my kids graduated. So, but I'm retiring with her this year from Hammersholt Staff Appreciation. Thank you, everybody. Now, I am so excited for the board members and for the audience to see our winning IPPL team. I was delighted to get to go and to watch the performances. The presentations. The amount of work that goes into this and the poise, you're going to be blown away that these are actually high school students and not people that are doing this kind of work for a living. So, Mr. Palazzo, okay, so you're going to do it? Yeah. Mr. Paluzzo is going to come up and introduce the kids.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Herb Paluzzo. I'm the Department Chair for Social Studies and Media Services. Thank you, Dr. Valesky, Mrs. Lax, Board of Education members, for inviting myself and the IPPL 1 honor students here tonight for the meeting. Mr. Pulowski, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, he is coaching his son's AAU basketball team. And he's coached for many years in the district, so we still want to make sure we appreciate and applaud his efforts. He's really done a great job. His IPPL 1 honor students participated once again this year in the urban planning project sponsored by the Urban Land Institute. The ULI partners with schools like East Brunswick across the nation with the goal of educating the next generation of diverse leaders interested in creating thriving communities around the globe while addressing various infrastructure and community issues such as affordable housing. Along with guidance from their excellent teacher, Mr. Pulowski, and ULI volunteer industry experts from across the country and local leaders as well, they worked with the EBHS student teams as they created and finalized their proposals for a vibrant city center and urban center. The students on each team considered all facets of city planning while balancing the needs and requests of diverse constituents, along with a range of social, political, and economic issues. I know, it sounds complicated, because it is. As many of us know in this room, change requires visionary planning, building relationships with team members and community stakeholder groups, and attention to various details. Lessons our students learned and applied throughout this project. On Thursday, March 24th, all of Mr. Pulaski's IPPL student teams presented their final proposals to development experts and Mayor Cohen at the East Brunswick Municipal Complex. Tonight, the Social Studies Department is proud to have the team with the winning proposal here to introduce themselves, explain their roles on the project team, and answer any questions you may have about their experiences this year. I think you will find they learned a great deal from the volunteer experts, the project demands, the realities of the change process, essentially what it takes to have a vision and enact that change while considering the many complexities of the real world. So thank you again for having us. I'm excited for you to hear from our students. I'll start by handing off the podium to Dhruv.
Yes, so my name's Dhruv Agarwal. In this team, I was given the job of site planner, which means that I had to understand what the daily life of these people in the towns would be like, and based on that, decide where would the buildings go, what orientation they'd be facing, using the limited buildings that we had as well as the space. And in urban plan in general, we were tasked with the responsibility of redesigning the fictional town of Yorktown, specifically the Elmwood district. And we had to design this based on numerous factors, including the wants and needs of people living in the city as well as the neighborhood, as well as what was financially beneficial for the town, and again, the limited buildings that we had as well as the space that we had in order to create a town that was not only enjoyable to live in, but also financially beneficial to live in and fit the vision that we had for the town.
Hello, my name is Jordan Hamilton. I'm in the 11th grade and I'm the City Liaison. The City Liaison specializes in receiving and responding to sensitive questions and complaints from the public. A city liaison works hard to find solutions to the problems presented. I had to make sure that our proposed plan would provide the best results for the city and the residents. As our site planner Dhruv mentioned, our goal was to create a town where people would not just love to come there, but they'd want to stay there. In doing this, I had to make sure that the city letters that I received were able to be executed in our plan. The letters were written by some companies and organizations that wish to either expand into the Elmwood district, give college students a place to study, or create better transportation options. After analyzing the letters for a long time, I was able to think of ways to include these things in our plan. We decided to add things like a Q-Mart shopping center to create more jobs. We provided students with recreational spaces to study and implemented a citywide bike sharing system. I'd like to think that I succeeded in my role with the help of my amazing team as the city liaison.
Hello, my name is Samantha Tarnofsky. I'm a senior, and my role in the redevelopment plan was the neighborhood liaison. As a neighborhood liaison, I had to read all of the letters in the urban plan guideline booklet and try my absolute best to meet all of the requests of the neighborhood letters. There were 6 letters of neighborhood requests written to us, the developers. Fortunately, we were able to satisfy 5 out of the 6 letters written to us. Within this, we provided a skate park, a pro arts group, which asked for 10,000 square feet of space. Fortunately, we were able to work with that, and we were allowed to offer space for them and even provided jobs that were implemented throughout our plan. Fortunately, we were able to meet not only their needs, but provide safety for the citizens. Within this, our redevelopment plan was able to provide more job opportunities and a safer city for the citizens.
Hello, my name is Leo Fang, and I am in 11th grade, and my position in this project is the marketing director. My job as the marketing director is to assess the demands for different type of buildings in our site plan, and in that aspect, I cooperate heavily with my financial analysis, Sarah Wilk, and also my site planner, Dhruv Agarwal, to make sure that what we end up building is easily digestible for the market. And but this demand also goes in reverse. As the marketing director, I also need to make the decision on what kind of residents I want to attract to the neighborhood. And in accordance to our vision of building a college town, I need to make sure that our towns can attract college students to stay. And to do that, I work with our site planner to make sure that there's a lot of job opportunities and also entertainment options in our district so that college students will be compelled to stay and also to build a future here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah Wilk. I am currently a senior, and I was our group's financial analyst. The gist of my job was to take the information about our design from the site planner, insert it into a special spreadsheet that would calculate our finances for me to examine. This was crucial to make sure that our project would succeed. Now, if we move over to our presentation, after the title slide, the first thing you'll see is our vision statement. This is really what we had in mind while planning our project. We came up with this at the very beginning before we even put together our site plan. We really envisioned a place where current students at the local university would want to stay in after college, get a job, and raise a family. Now, if we move along to our finances, which I'm going to be honest, not the most exciting part of our presentation, but it was definitely very important, and our great numbers were a large contributing factor to why our group won. Now, if we move along to, marketing. This is what Leo was describing earlier and what his job revolves around, and he definitely did an amazing job, and we couldn't have won without him. So now we move on to the site plan. This is definitely probably the most important part of our project. This was what we spent weeks on, the majority of the weeks on, while we were doing urban plan. This is even close to what our original plan was, as we constantly had to go back and adjust, just like any other project. And one of the focuses, if we want to get a little more into it, was we really wanted to have a sort of main street in our downtown. So if we move on now to the neighborhood request, which was what Jordan and Sam described earlier, and they also did an amazing job on. And we got letters from different local groups describing their demands. And something we learned was it's really hard to accommodate everyone. and so many needs. And at the end of the day, you can't please every single person. So now if we move on to the Pinterest board, this was really, I think, what made our group stand out to the town council. In our Pinterest board, we really utilized it to showcase everything we had in our imaginations, everything we really wanted Elmwood to be and felt Elmwood could be. It also depicts ideas like the murals and the food trucks you saw earlier. Clicker's not really working. But it really depicts everything we had in mind, and it allowed us to really showcase everything in our imaginations and be creative. So now if I can turn it back to Leo.
So I would just like to use this opportunity to say thank you to Mr. Plowski, who sadly couldn't be here, for bringing this opportunity to us, and also for the professionals who volunteer their time to help us with this project. Thank you.
Like I said at the start, we couldn't be more proud of the students, the work that Mr. Pulaski did, the volunteers, the local leaders, the industry experts, showcasing the best of East Brunswick and learning real-world skills to solve real-world problems is really incredible and at the core of what we believe is important in social studies and across all academic areas. If anyone has any questions for the students, we'd love to take some questions or if any comments. Mr.
Paluzzo, I have a question for the group. So I got the chance to be at the township when you were actually presenting your plan. And what was the biggest challenge in getting ready to present before those individuals who you knew were going to quiz you incessantly about your plan and be able to react to that? What was your planning like for that?
So I think the biggest challenge in that was basically just mentally preparing ourselves to actually be able to speak and respond to the questions. We did this by basically looking at our town from a broad overview and seeing what main problems there were, trying to think about what they might ask about. I feel like one thing that definitely helped is that we were one of the later groups to go. So we were able to understand the types of questions that the council would ask, and we were able to just think about it like that. And we also just tried to make sure that we didn't stumble on our words or actually not just fill out the time, but to actually get all of our points across.
Just to add on to that, prior to the actual presentation, something that really helped for me specifically, because I was a wreck before the presentation, because we were, like Drew mentioned, we were one of the last few people to go, so we had to witness the groups they were ripping them to shreds. They were like, well, your plan doesn't have this, your plan doesn't have this, and I started getting really nervous, but something that I just had to really focus on was that I knew our plan. I knew what we were trying to achieve, and I had to become confident in everything that I was going to say. As I mentioned, as my role in the city liaison, I had to make sure that I was comfortable presenting the information that I looked at. I was comfortable, defending the plan that we have. I was confident in my team, and I was confident in all of the work that had been done, that I was like, at this point, if they like our plan, they like our plan, but once we present it, I think that they'll get on board because of how strongly we're defending it.
Yeah, just to add on, I think we did a really good job even prior to the presentations and watching them. Honestly, on just preparing for our presentation, and our notes were very thorough. And we made sure that we also addressed everything that was included in our presentation, and we had small details that other groups did not. So I think that was a big part of why we were selected.
And actually, I think you're understating the fact that they were quizzed, because grilled. As eloquent as you're seeing them tonight, they were so calm and composed. These kids, that's what's amazing, is they're presenting this, and it was a mock council scenario, and the questions were difficult, and some of them were a little Simon Cowell-like, I would say.
Was he related to you?
No.
Oh.
I will not say that. But no, they really did. They treated you as if you were professionals in this field, and you held your own. And so I'm glad, hopefully, some of your parents are here getting to see this tonight, because you did a terrific job. So all the kids did. You guys are the winners. So hats off to you. Hats off to you, Mr. Paluzzo. It's a wonderful program, and I think it's great, and I'm glad that we got to share it. Did you have a question, Jeff?
Yeah, a couple things. I've learned two things tonight I think are amazing. One, we have a 258 bowler in the room, which I think is really awesome, and I can't get that off my mind. And this group, and your preparedness. I heard a lot about what you had done while I was there. So I do have one question. You mentioned in your presentation you were able to adapt 5 of the 6 letters. What was in the 6th letter that you just couldn't do?
Good question.
That's a good question. Basically, they did not want any of the new projects to be built, and that really was very unrealistic because if you wanted a redevelopment plan, you want to build up a city and you want new opportunities, new jobs, more affordable housing. So we had to take down 2 of the buildings, and we were able to still keep up the York Dry Goods building, and we also made that a police station along with firehouse, and we had other things like space available for the public, a library. So we even had leftover space that was used for the pro arts groups, as I mentioned, so they had job opportunity with that. And yeah, we couldn't really fulfill their needs, but almost there, 2/3.
Very well done.
I also had a question for the group, if anyone wants to answer. So first, I think, the grilling is really invaluable real-world experience. And, I don't like to use the word grilling, but really, you're going to get asked hard questions in the future as you move forward in life. And being composed and being able to answer it is just great way to start building that experience. But I'm curious, based on this experience, how this has influenced your choice of what you want to study in college or for your future careers.
Personally, for me, not even just with urban plan, but before I even took this class, I was always interested in politics, and I think this course really motivated me to continue studying politics, and minoring in poli-sci is definitely something I'm looking into, and I think Sam.
Yeah, so I am going to American University to study CLEG, which was pretty much goes along with politics and government. I do someday want to do something in politics and be a lawyer. So this definitely helps. This class prepared me, and I feel like I'm ready, honestly, for college.
The project on the surface doesn't seem to be, doesn't have to be very political. But once you really get into the issues, you will see how politics plays such a huge part in our entire project. Such as, I remember one of the controversy, I can say, was we decided to keep a homeless shelter, and we were grilled on that during our presentation, and I can see how politics has a huge role in that.
For me personally, something that I've always dreamt of, and even to this day that I would like to, this is my dream. I always had a dream of being in politics, specifically becoming governor. And this has, thank you. This has, the class in general, all of the experiences with the urban plan, and even Rutgers Model Congress has really kind of prepared me and is still preparing me for what life in politics, life as governor might be like. Because prior to it, I thought that I knew what it was, and I was, I'm gonna nail this. But this really taught me it's a lot more than just your own personal ideas. Even having to read all of the city letters, I'm like, oh my goodness, these are so many different requests. Like, how is everyone gonna get pleased? But it's just really that you can't please everyone, and you have to be prepared, even from the questions and the feedback that we were getting. You have to be prepared to hear that from people. You have to be prepared for people to disagree with what you're saying. You have to kind of be strong. You have to be strong enough to deal with that. And I think that's something that this is really helping me to prepare for. And it's encouraging me, it's challenging me, and I am really appreciative of it.
Just remember, this is videotaped, so you're going to keep this clip when you do become governor. You're going to show them, tell them back in 2022, you predicted.
So for me personally, I'm in 10th grade, so I have a bit more time before I actually need to commit to something that I want to study. And it's projects like this and classes like this that are really beneficial to me, because before this, I never even considered politics as something that I wanted to do. But this class, and specifically, again, this project has just been so interesting. It's really given me a different perspective on what people, what someone on working on this might actually do. It's definitely changed my perspective on it. I didn't know anything about this before, but now I know a lot more, and definitely considering different things that I wasn't considering before in terms of what I want to study and what I want to do with my life.
That's great. Heather?
So I teach in a high school, and juniors and sophomores and seniors don't look like this most of the time when they're speaking. So my question isn't actually about IPPL. I wanted to know what you did to prepare for the public speaking, because even Jordan's story about feeling overwhelmed before was professionally and maturely told. It's just so polished. Even the body language is so polished. Did you do something to prepare, or is this just the knowledge, like feeling secure in your plan and your knowledge?
I also happened to take, my sophomore year, I took public speaking with Miss Hagan. And also I was really involved with my youth group throughout high school, so I had a lot of public speaking opportunities through that. But I think the largest thing was for environments like this is all year we do speech after speech after speech in IPPL. And while sometimes it can be annoying managing how to write all these speeches, it really prepared us to have real world experiences like this, and it's going to help prepare us for the rest of our lives.
So I am a huge history geek at school, so I'm involved in like every single history club. Like I'm in mock trial, I'm in MUN, and all of these, like especially in MUN, where you actually do have to go up to a podium like this and speak in front of like 200 people, it really helped me prepare for public speaking. Yeah.
So for me personally, I do a lot of theater, and along with that, I also do Mall UN as well. And it's taught me not only having experience in like public speaking, being able to talk in front of people, it's also shown me that one of the most important things in being able to do it successfully is being confident in what you're talking about. Specifically for this, because I had confidence in our plan and knowing that this was a good plan, we thought about this a lot. We spent a lot of time designing it. I knew that as long as I presented it properly and I spoke about it the way that I thought about it, then I would be able to convince the council that this was actually a good plan and that it was be beneficial for the town.
Another thing that I think played a major role is that our teacher, Mr. Pulowski, does an amazing job at preparing us for stuff like this. Even when we do speeches, the feedback he gives us, I remember the first speech that I did in his class, I was extremely nervous. He gave me a lot of great advice, even simple things as just writing what I'm gonna say down so that it can be in my brain so that I can be able to speak confidently on what I'm saying and making eye contact with people. It just shows the confidence that you have in what you're saying. Mr. Pulowski has really helped all of us, I think, growing as public speakers and just preparing us for what it's going to be like when we actually do get up here, when we do move on in the world and we're doing all of these speeches and things like that. I'm someone who normally I'm extremely nervous to get up and speak in front of people, but because of Mr. Pulowski and because of these experiences, I've become more confident. I've seen a lot of growth in myself because of Mr. Pulowski, so shout out to him.
To add on to that, most of my time is dedicated to sports, but I am also involved in clubs as well. But I would like to add on to Jordan. Yeah, most of what my public speaking comes from is Mr. Pulowski. Honestly, the class IPPL really prepared me for speaking urban plan and just my public speaking in general. I've noticed growth as well, and all of us in general. My first speech in the beginning of the year was nothing like this, and I would not be able to just speak like this. So the class definitely does prepare you, and I would just like to thank him. Thank you.
Just to add on what Jordan and Sam said, Mr. Pulowski is really an amazing teacher, and I know when all of us look back on high school, he's definitely going to be a teacher in our lives that stands out to us.
Guess we'll have him in case any board members need any public speaking.
Yeah.
We're going to go right down the line.
So your poise and knowledge is incredible. And I think you learned a very valuable lesson that a lot of people a lot older than you still haven't learned, that half the battle is the preparation and the hard work that goes into it. And once you've laid that infrastructure, you can rely on what you know and you can own what you know. And it's obvious that you have. So I was just curious, you used the terms environmental friendly throughout the report, the presentation. And I was just wondering what other sustainability factors might have driven some of your decisions, whether you have some pedestrian-only areas, bike lanes, or if you built solar panels into any of this. I was just curious how far you took the issue of sustainability into your designing and planning.
Yes, so we actually included more public transportation options. That way it was also cheaper for the citizens. They had more options for affordable. And also, we used sustainable materials to build, like, mostly all the buildings, especially the Q-Mart, which was very much wanted by the citizens. Also, we had water stations throughout the city, which was a great factor that also made us probably win. And we had the bike share system as well, and we were a group that chose to keep that, and we definitely implemented that through our plans. So we also had more green space than probably any of the other groups, and we had green space throughout our main street, which was a big part, and a fountain as well. So there was a lot of open spaces and honestly, like, sustainable materials and transportation. So I think that's what our environmental friendly aspect was.
Wonderful, just wonderful.
Okay. Sure.
I like what you said about knowing your material. Sometimes I'm the negative Nelly up here, but like politicians lie. So if you guys keep your honesty and know your material and believe in what you're saying, it does come off naturally. You know, when people try to abba-dabba and do things, you know, that's when they get themselves jammed up. So, you know, a very impressive group of people here. Keep that purity in your heart, especially if you do go into politics, you know, and gov. Stay honest, okay? But no, fantastic job tonight. Thank you.
So you guys did a fabulous job. So the governor, future governor or governor predict, I like whatever you said. So when people challenge you, you keep on your own target. The challenge is the opportunity for you to build your self-confidence. So you use confidence several times. I really like it. So keep doing a good job. You should be proud of you. I'm really proud of you. And for the group, I realize that you guys managed a 15.6% return. I just want to know if I can retain you guys as my personal finance advisors.
I'll let you know.
That's good.
And who said that the finances were boring?
Yeah, right. Only when you do it. You should hire them. See?
Everyone spoke so well with you guys. I appreciate it as well. I told Lori today, texting, that don't call me to do the resolutions for public speaking, and it was ironic. So I understand how difficult it is, but your preparation was great. So thank you, guys.
Terrific job. Congratulations again.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah,
Good job.
thank you. Okay, this brings us to the good of the cause for the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. To protect the privacy of all students and staff, concerns regarding individual students and staff members should generally be addressed by first meeting with the appropriate administrative staff. A participant will be limited to 3 minutes duration. Elapsed time will be determined through the use of a timing device operated by the board secretary. And I just want to remind everybody that this is the public portion. And it is a one-way conversation. So to remind everybody out there, this is your 3 minutes to speak to the board. Please do not take the board's silence or lack of a response on anyone up here as not caring about the issues. It's just that the parameters of the open, the public portion provide only for a one-way dialogue. But I will be asking anyone who speaks here if they want to give their information to the ladies over there. Say thank you for waving. Responses will be given to you after the fact. So that being said, is there anyone that wishes to speak to the board this evening? Oh, way up in the back. Good evening. If you could just start by stating your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Rob Eiler. I live at 3 University Road, East Brunswick. I moved to East Brunswick approximately 6 years ago. One of the reasons I chose East Brunswick was because of the Blue Ribbon public school system. I actually looked for my house after researching the best schools to educate your growing child. I have recently heard of some potentially disturbing changes being implemented in this upcoming semester. I am a proud father of an amazing 9-year-old daughter, and I hope for her sake and mine that these changes to the public school curriculum are certainly not true. I found numerous videos which are said to be part of these so-called changes. The Amaze video lineup that is planned for the 5th grade children are as follows. Masturbation is totally normal. I watched this video and found it quite disturbing. The video shows a little boy go into his room and under his covers and do his business. The female version shows little girls how to explore their bodies and suggests that they should pleasure themselves at least 2 times a day to relieve their stress. These are young, impressionable kids, and these life lessons should not be taught, they should be taught at home, not in schools by a stranger. Public schools should not be indoctrination centers, and if you want to indoctrinate your child to believe a certain way, that's on you as a parent, and that should be done at your home. Socio-political agendas have zero place in our blue ribbon public education system. If this is the new direction that we are moving in, then I am not on board. I will strongly recommend that we get a voucher for our tax dollars so the money follows the kids' education that best serves our children, because after all, they are our children. If this curriculum cannot be reversed, I will definitely put my daughter in Catholic or private school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eiler. There's a gentleman I saw, come on.
Good evening. I'm Mark Scher. I live at 7 Falcon Road. Actually, Mr. Hong, you hit the nail right on the head about coming to East Brunswick for the schools. That's exactly why my family is here. We moved here 2 years ago, and you've lived up to your reputation. The school system is second to none. I mean, we're blown away. Everything's been great with the teachers. My daughters have friends. There's counselors. There's all kinds of great things in school, and we're very comfortable here. However, there's one thing that I am very uncomfortable with, and that is some issues within the transportation system. I had a minor issue last year. I spoke with Mr. Giuliana about it. It was rectified very easily. The bus driver met with my girls, I believe with the principal of Memorial School. She apologized. It was no big deal. Never heard anything else about it. Wasn't concerned. This year, on February 25th, school was delayed due to inclement weather. I decided to drive my daughter to the bus stop. There was another car there. She was waiting in the car because it was raining, it was cold. The bus pulled up. My daughter got out of the car, walked towards the bus. Bus pulled away right away. It was, having ridden on a bus as a student for 10 years, so I've thousands of times and stopped, multiple times. Each time I got on the bus, I never really saw anything like it. I was very surprised. I was very concerned that the bus driver was not paying attention because my daughter was right there. When a bus driver isn't paying attention, very bad things can happen, very dangerous things, very terrible things. And at that time, I had to decide whether or not I was going to pick up my daughter, who was very upset and running towards the bus, or go after the bus to see if the bus driver was under the influence or compromised in some way, which it turns out I don't believe she was. I let her go on her way. But having had that experience, and based on the response that I got from Mr. Giuliana, I wanted to look further into the transportation system and what the policies were and what's going on. Mr. Giuliana sent me a letter with a timeline of what happened on February 25th, and it was very disturbing to see on that timeline that the bus was only stopped for 16 seconds. So in 16 seconds' time, where students are required, I believe, to stand about 25 feet away from where the bus stops, they're not supposed to start moving towards the bus until the bus stops. They're supposed to get on the bus, get seated, and wear a seatbelt. So 2 or 3 kids got onto the bus, got to their seats, got their seatbelts on, and 16 seconds later, the bus took off, leaving my daughter in the rain. So clearly, based on the timeline.
Your time's up, sir.
Got it.
Thank you. Your time's up.
I'm concerned. I understand my time's up.
Okay.
Okay,
You
but
step
you
away
of
from-
all people shouldn't be
You may
pointing that
step
out.
away from
You're the one that's
podium.
negligent, Mr.
You may
Giuliani.
step away from the
Okay.
podium, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll do that, but I'll be here next time.
And we'll see you then.
Thank you, Mr. Scher. Yes.
Hello. My name is Kelly Kelleher. I lived at 94 Independence Drive. My intent this evening is to raise awareness of the upcoming curriculum changes and stress the importance of keeping parents informed and involved. After raising similar concerns last meeting, it became evident to me that several members of the board were unaware of these changes to come. I'd actually like to thank Mr. Sismar for raising his concerns on this issue as well. And I was pleased to hear that the board would have a retreat on this, but I would just like some clarification as to how that pertains to that information being made public. There have been many stories circulating in the media surrounding the contents of these mandates, and with all this rolling controversy, it's becoming more concerning to me that the district has yet to comment on the accuracy of these rumors. As a community, we have been informed via phone calls, emails, and text messages about a multitude of town events, programs, COVID cases, close contacts, and more. I believe keeping parents informed on controversial changes to curriculum is just as important, and it must be made readily available to the public in order for families to make well-informed decisions on what's best for them. I understand public school curriculums can be obtained upon request, but truthfully, I think too many parents are unaware of what goes on in the classroom. I brought with me several documents from the New Jersey Department of Education 2020 Student Learning Performance Expectations. It's my understanding that these are what's to be implemented come September 2022. According to these documents, by the end of second grade, children are expected to be able to name their body parts, including parts of their genitals, and discuss the range of ways people express their gender and how gender role stereotypes may limit behavior. By the end of fifth grade, they are to explain common human sexual development and the role of hormones. Some examples given include romantic and sexual feelings, pleasure, among others. Additionally, they will be expected to differentiate between sexual orientation and gender identity. Proper fact-based sex education has its place at the appropriate time. Where I take concern is within the age of introduction and suggestive content included. While many of these topics are important, it is when and how that alarm me. Additionally, I strongly question if several of these topics are even developmentally age appropriate for our elementary children at all. And I'm in no way here to speak negatively on anyone's lifestyles, beliefs, or parenting choices. If we are to thrive as a community, then we are to respect and embrace one another's differences. Each family is unique and deserves the respect to choose what's best for their individual home. I understand that it's ultimately up to the district how exactly they will implement these guidelines. And I just hope that the board will take the public comments into consideration while preparing the curriculum and choose to remain as neutral as possible to respect all individuals' beliefs. And I look forward to the board's clarification and transparency on the upcoming changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelleher. Anyway.
Good evening. Alex Spielman, 6 Douglas Road. So I'm here to address a topic we were talking about the other meeting, which was about the change of the curriculum. And seeing as some of the board members here were unawares, I started to do some my own research on some of these things and look into some of these things. And one of these things we were talking about prior to this was talking about we're always going to follow the CDC guidance and that stuff. And I was wondering, why did we deal with that and why would that be related? There's a reason why. So the CDC has something called the Adverse Childhood Experiences, and it, as the CDC quote, says, it can have a tremendous impact on future violent victimization, perpetuation, and lifelong health opportunities. The CDC works to understand the ACEs and to prevent them. Now, in order to do this, they created something called the WSCC, the Whole School, Whole Community, Whole Child model. And they found out that there were 10 components to this: physical education and physical activity, nutrition environment and services, health education, social emotional climate, physical environment, health services, counseling, psychological and social services, emotional wellness, employee wellness, community involvement, and family engagement. Now, if you follow this forward more into the CDC, they also include something that we have here, social emotional learning. And they were relatively vague on how that is because each school district is to be determine how that is to be applied. But there are several things that are very interesting as that they are not unique to New Jersey. We were actually seeing public things like this happening in Florida, where it's been well documented in the news about how they were talking about the Don't Say Gay bill and how that stuff happened. But it's not just there. We also see instances of this stuff happening in places like North Carolina, Texas, California, et cetera, et cetera. So this is not an isolated case, and this is not initially what I thought was just something that's happening within our schools, our state, our county, or something like that. This is a national thing. And there is also funding that has been come through these things. And one of the few things I ran into is some of these relief bills that we were dealing with, such as the COVID relief and stuff like that, we had some of the funding within it. So it's very concerning to see that this is not just a localized or a state issue, but it's definitely something, it's national, and it seems that there are other groups that are influencers in these. They may not be, like, these may not be the curriculum that they may be talking about. There are recommendations that have been brought up to the state in how to apply these things in 22, 23, and me as it may, this stuff is concerning. Thank you.
Sir, your phone? Did you get your phone?
Thank you, Mr. Spielman.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Hello, my name is Kayla DeSico. I live at 24th Street. I am here tonight to discuss 3 topics that are extremely pressing to me as my 3 daughters go through the East Brunswick school system. Those 3 things are maintaining parental rights, preserving the innocence of children, and keeping sexual topics out of the elementary schools. The first thing I'd like to talk about is maintaining my parental rights. When the schools decide to speak to our children about certain controversial topics, they are stripping parents of their rights. For example, it is my job and my right as a mother to teach my girls about inappropriate touch, about their private parts, and anything else sex, gender, or preference related in the privacy, safety, and comfort of our own home. I feel extremely uncomfortable having a teacher that I hardly know talk to my little kids about very adult sexual topics. When the parents have to worry about what the schools might teach their children in regards to sex, it is diminishing our rights to teach our children what we believe in or do not believe in as a family unit. The second thing I would like to discuss is preserving the innocence of children. Unfortunately, today, we need to protect our children's innocence more than ever before. Kids are only kids once. The purity of their minds only remains this way for such a short period of time. So by introducing certain topics that are inappropriate, we are shortening this precious time frame in our children's lives. My third point, I would like to address just keep sex out of the elementary schools. Plain and simple. I'm not talking about the body's natural process of puberty taught to girls and boys separately. I am talking about when the schools decide to talk to my kids about whether they can be a boy or a girl based on how they feel, talk to them about their genitals or about the sexual preferences of others. It's completely crossing a line. The 3 R's curriculum that is being shared is very alarming, and the fact that it was proposed by a neighboring district is even more concerning. I fully understand that it is a guideline and it's not necessarily what East Brunswick is going to be teaching, but this is all we have to go by right now because we haven't been told anything. I don't even know if the teachers know what they're going to be teaching come September. There's just nobody being informed. I feel like now is the time to say something and to let you all know that many parents and myself are against this type of teaching to our young children. In conclusion, there are certain topics and beliefs that are inappropriate to be discussed with kids K through 5. Leave the schools for educating about the basic subjects such as math, science, reading, and how to respect and accept others. And leave the parenting to the parents. Every set of parents will have a different set of beliefs, and it is impossible to cater fairly to all of these different groups. Everybody is entitled to feel the way they feel or live their lives the way they want to. But with that said, we all have differences of opinions, especially when it comes to raising our children. I am scared that come September, my rights as a parent will be taken from me and that my children's innocence will be compromised. I hope we can have better communication and come to a clear understanding between educators and parents of what is appropriate to teach our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. DeSico. Is there anyone else that would like to speak with the board tonight? Speak to the board? Yes.
Steve Schenko, 8 Sheridan Avenue. I'm one of these guys that came unprepared. Sorry. I kind of agree with what the girls say. I just can't see what kind of benefit you get from teaching a 10-year-old kid about pleasing themselves. I mean, I work with a lot of kids, and that topic never comes up. But it's not as if we're hiding something. It's just not something that they get involved with at 10 years old. I don't know if you guys can remember back when you were that age. But, you know, it just you kind of flow through 10. You start to learn a little bit here and there. There's no great mystery. There's no great set of facts to be learned. You just kind of pick it up as you go along. It may sound ignorant, but 10 years old to have a teacher teach that to a kid, I kind of agree. I think it's stepping over the line a little bit. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Schenko. 5 years old. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the board tonight? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public portion. I believe Dr. Valesky would like to make a statement.
Thanks, President Lax. I do want to take just a minute to clarify some things that were talked about and go to the cause, specifically with the curriculum changes. It was referenced by one of the speakers, there is a new set of standards, and I think one of the speakers referenced those. These are from the Department of Education. We are currently working on the development of a curriculum to meet those standards, an East Brunswick curriculum. I want to assure the community we are not taking someone else's curriculum and using it in East Brunswick. We are not using someone else's videos that have been produced or been promoted somewhere else in our curriculum. So I wanted to assure the community of that. When we have this curriculum revised, we're going to have a retreat with the board to explain it to the board, and then we will share it with the community, so we will be transparent about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valesky. Okay, before I ask for a motion to combine the items on this evening's agenda, is there anything that anyone would like separated out? No? Then I will ask for a motion for tonight's agenda. Moved by Mrs. Becker, second by Mr. Carangelo. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Sismar.
Just on Board of Ed number 2, I realize the work that was taken by redacting the closed session meeting minutes. I wanted to compliment, I assume it was Mr. Giuliana and our attorney that went over that.
Oh goodness, he redacted them, I had to review them. It was a lot of them.
You know, I wanted to compliment you tonight because it's important, you know, about transparency and sharing everything we can with the public. And I gotta be honest, sometimes it's hard sitting up here with my mouth shut and not being able to respond directly to people after their public comments. So anytime that we can share as much as we can, I do appreciate that. And I know it takes a lot of work to go through the redactions and all those minutes, so.
I think, I just want to explain to the public, what Mr. Giuliana did is that, as you know, when we go in closed session, we're limited as to what we can talk about. And what we can talk about are attorney-client communications, which are privileged. But very often, almost on a regular bi-weekly basis, we talk about personnel, staff members that have issues, and children. And so we have to be careful, and that's what's redacted, and that's never disclosed. Things that would be disclosed in closed sessions, I could just explain, is if we had a litigation, or a better example is we negotiate with the teachers union. When we're in the middle of negotiations, the discussions that we have in closed session are private. We don't reveal our strategies. But once we have a deal with the teachers union, those are no longer confidential. So that's what Mr. Giuliana had to go through and discern literally hundreds and hundreds of pages of minutes. So, and we always are mindful of protecting the rights of the privacy rights of the children and the staff members. And that will never be disclosed, even when these redacted minutes are released.
Yeah, that's where my thanks comes from. I know it's a tough balance, but I'm glad you released everything that you could.
Well,
a lot of work
that
that
won't release them.
Yeah.
Well, you did the work. You did the work. I understand redaction, and it's not an easy process, so good job.
Mrs. Becker.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that item number 3 in our student services agenda is a cooperative agreement concept for an ice hockey team that the board is being asked to approve. And I just wanted to commend the many parents and the many people in this school district who have been working on this for a long time. And it looks like it's about to happen. And again, nothing happens by accident. There was an awful lot of thought and input and feedback from parents, from students, from coaches, but also from the administrators and athletic staff in this district who worked really hard on this, including some people currently at the dais. Yeah, Lou's like, wait, like, yes, Lou, absolutely, Lou, absolutely. Dr. Valesky, I know the countless hours you spent considering everything and the thought you gave, and Bernie and Matt, I'm sure you were asked for your input, and it just was a real collaborative effort between the district and the community. So, there you go. Go Bears.
I know. I know. Go ahead, Mr.
Speaking
Grandson.
about that, we have to give, you know, the mayor a big hand too because of getting the hockey rink that we need. I mean, that's important too. No.
Well, the hockey rink is something completely separate, because the hockey, well, that's the point. The idea, if everything goes along, would be to have this hockey team in September. There's not a hockey rink, so ice time is something that's gonna be on our end to figure out. If and when the mayor's ice hockey rink comes to fruition, that's gonna be down the line. So I'm sure that will make life a lot easier. But our commitment is to the hockey team this September, if all works out well, with or without that particular hockey rink.
Old Bridge, I think. Say it now.
Anyone else? Mrs. Chu?
Yeah, just a comment question. Under financial services, item 9, enterprise profit and loss reports. So throughout the kind of the pandemic and the shutdown, I think a lot of these P&L statements were running negative. And, you know, we had retained earnings that kept going down over that period of time. So I was pretty pleased to see, I think for the first time, facilities is actually turning positive. And the point here is that there was a reserve built through retained earnings that would be scooped periodically, right, to help offset cost of operations. But there was enough in there so that it was, you know, the retained earnings was used to kind of keep things afloat, and now it's turning positive again. So I guess one question I had was, what was the thing that turned facilities rental positive? Because I saw income come in for the significant, meaningful income come in for the first time. And just, you know, to point out, that's one of the many, many, many things that I think this district administration does to kind of keep us in good shape. I remember those conversations when the pandemic first started, and it was like, you know, we were very concerned about the financial health of the organization and what would happen. And guess what? We got through it, and we're still in great shape. But I was just curious about that positive turn on facility rentals.
Mrs. Chu, just very simply, the turning point was actually opening our facilities for rental again. The demand is so pent up for our facilities, J-Impact, high school auditorium. Our facilities are used throughout the day and well into the evening, and we have a great relationship with the township, and many of those usages are free to the community. But for those premium spaces, the rentals, the policies the board set, and the fees those individuals pay there's a waiting list for people to get back into the buildings. And Mr. Giuliani, can you just touch again on what Mrs. Chu talked about using enterprise funds to offset some of the district expenses, the general fund?
Sure. In our facilities rentals, as well as in our community programs enterprises, the resources that are raised through those operations go to support the budget. Historically, they've supported the budget to around $2 million a year. So it's pretty substantial. Enables us to maintain the programs and even expand some programs during the course of the year. We've been able to kickstart the facility rentals again with the easing of the pandemic, and as Dr. Valesky said, there is a lot of demand, and we're seeing the results of that.
I was very happy to see that,
Yeah.
yeah. Great job.
Mr. Hahn?
Yes, for the information technology item number 1. So I'm amazed that we can spend $359 for each Chromebook for 4,000. Now everything is so expensive. I don't know how can you guys can secure a brand new Chromebook for $359 each. Thank you very much, Mr. Giuliani and Nick and his information technology team. It's very cheap. I want to get one too.
I have to laugh because I did the same math. I took the dollars and the units. I'm like, oh my God.
Unfortunately, we're not a reseller.
Okay. Seeing no more discussion, will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Carangelo?
Yes.
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mrs. Guas?
Yes.
Mr. Hahn?
Yes.
Mr. Winston?
Yes.
And President Lax?
Yes, motion carries. This leads us to new and/or old business, our committee reports, information items, and for the good of the cause for the board. Quiet board this evening? Well, I just want to, I just wanted to give a shout out to the bear that you saw Mrs. Goss and I with. We made some new friends that day, Rohan and Sapna. Actually, she's an old friend, but those kids were great. The Daisy breakfast has been 37 years. I've been going for not quite 37 of them, but it's a great event, and it was really nice to see the kids participating. And I believe Heather's daughter was there with the youth council serving the food, so it was a really nice joint effort, having a lot of support with the school system and certainly with the recreation department. So I apologize, Mr. Hahn, go ahead.
We had a curricular committee meeting Tuesday night, and I want to say Dr. Bowley and her team are doing whatever they can to bring new programs, to start a new class, to help our students to fight with stress, anxiety. For example, one new class will be taught by PE teachers and use the body movement to deal with their stress. And another 2 new classes will be the dancing class, which looks like very exciting, will be for the 5th grader. I just want to thank Dr. Bowley and your team. Keep adding good stuff, good course to our school, curricula, and then help our students to fight with those stress and teach them emotionally and mentally, and increase their ability to deal with all the new challenges to prepare them well for the future. Thank you.
Mr. Winston.
Yeah, I attended a couple of events this week that I'd love to mention. Last night I had I posted as I was watching it live, and I saw Dr. Valesky check in. The East Brunswick High School Orchestra concert last night was ridiculously great. There's a student, and her name escapes me. She composed and conducted her own piece called Future City. Where do you go? You know, what soundtrack will that be a movie to? I mean, it was totally awesome. And of course, getting Beethoven's Fifth is never a bad thing from much high school. So there was that. The secondly was the East Brunswick Invitational Track Meet. And I want to thank the cooperation and the facility use of Carl Sandburg Middle School that we were able to pull this off while our field gets upgraded. They have a great facility over there. And The kitchen's great, the food was great, and the field was outstanding. The talent was extraordinary for East Brunswick. So congratulations, boys and girls. Track, East Brunswick Invitational, yeah, you blew me away. It was just absolutely great. What a great week for East Brunswick stuff. So good.
Mr. Winston, thanks for mentioning that, because I want to also thank Mr. Citadino, David Citadino, Superintendent at Old Bridge. When we realized we couldn't host the Invitational at our track because of the construction going on, I called Mr. Citadino and said, would you be willing to host us over there? Without hesitation, he said yes. Put us in contact with your people. It was literally a two-minute phone call, and things were rolling. So I appreciate the cooperation, and Mr. Citadino is a parent in East Brunswick, so I just wanted to mention that.
Yes, he is. Our favorite superintendent, right?
He's your favorite superintendent.
There you go. There you go. At least you're my second.
Well, I'm like Avis.
There you go. Thank you, Jeff. Anyone?
Just one new business item. It's actually a point of order in question. Mr. Giuliano sent out an email earlier today with a agenda change in closed session mentioning something called governance or board governance. Can you tell me where that would fall into the 9 categories of a closed session item where the public would not be able to participate in that? Policy 0166.
So when this is involved, if you look under the statute, the 10-4-12B8, any matter involving the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation or performance of promotion or discipline of any specific prospective public officer or employee or current public officer or employee employed. So it covers both employees and the board members. And if there's going to be a discussion among board members regarding performance, and it could also actually involve legal advice, that's why it would fall under that provision.
But a board member is not an employee.
It's a public officer.
Okay. And then following under the same guidance, would that individual then be riced?
You don't, well, if you're going to talk about a public employee, an employee has to be riced, because a discussion in closed session where adverse employment action can be taken against them, they have to be riced. A public officer isn't riced because the board is not empowered to take action against an elected official. The only thing that the board can do is, or individuals can, you're governed by the school ethics, which we've gone over many times, the school ethics and the code of conduct, which is governed by the board. It governs the board's conduct. The only way a board member can be removed from office is they get they get removed from office by an election, they resign, or they are recalled. So the board itself can't take action against a fellow board member, but you can have these discussions. And as you know, like one example would be if a board member resigns, there's an opening, and you guys are considering candidates for an office, you have those discussions in public. You have to vote on them in public, but the discussions about potential candidates or potential officers to the board, that takes place in closed session to preserve their privacy rights. So that's why it talks about employees and public officer.
But this is what would concern me, on if I can comment, if I can cut off Mr. Whitson. Why is it a surprise to the board members what the topic is? Because this was used, it was January 2021. Some of the minutes were just revealed where the target of the so-called board governance was not informed that they were going to be, let's use the word permissible, grilled at that. Is there any board members on the dais today that know what the board governance is about, since this is about a board member? I'm asking the board right now. Does anybody know what it's about? Raise your hand.
I think at the last meeting, Mr.
No, I'm asking the board, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off,
Oh,
sir,
okay.
but I'm asking the board members. Does anybody know what the topic is about? Any board members?
Well, board self-governance is a broad term to be able to discuss how we govern ourselves, so there's
Like I said, last time it was targeted at me and didn't like it, wasn't, let me finish, was not prepared beforehand for the questions that were given to me. And if it occurs again tonight, like I said, why is it hidden from us what the board governance is going to be in the closed session tonight? We get pre-board information on everything else. This shows up. I can only speak for myself. I don't know what it's about tonight. Other members wish to comment? Like I said, raise your hand if you know what the board governance is about tonight. Mrs. Becker, thank you for your honesty. Anyone else?
Well, I told you what I feel that it's about.
Okay, so
discussing
Mrs. Lax,
board
any other
relations.
board members know what it's about tonight? Thank you. 3, why would 3 of 9 know what it's about, not the other 9? We're 9 members. We should know what the topic is going into a meeting, and I'll end with that comment.
So just to answer, when I say that I know what it's about, I know what board self-governance is, so I think there's a confusion here in terms of what the topic is. I don't think, to my knowledge, there's no one, I'm not sure, and I apologize, because I'm not sure
That's
what
okay.
you're talking about, that people went after you, and I apologize, but.
I can explain that.
But, no, that's fine.
No, I
I'm
will.
just
Go
saying,
ahead.
for
I didn't mean to cut you off.
myself, when I talk about board governance, and for the other people that have said that they know what that is, it's board governance as a rule, what we're doing. It's not about a specific board member. It's about board behaviors, board interactions. So when I say that I know what it's about, I can't tell you what the conversation is gonna look like once we have it. I can just tell you that we have a need to discuss board self-governance, so.
And the need in January of 2021 last year was to question the amount of committees I was on. That was the target, and that was the main thrust of the discussion. And when I walked into that closed session, I had no idea that it was gonna be talked about. I had private conversations with the president of the board at the time, why I was not on certain committees. And although I'm saying my own comments, like I said, since it's been released in the minutes, I said it was none of the other board members' businesses that wanted to question me whether or not I was on a committee, because our policy is you don't have to be on any committees. So, again, my concern is, and I don't know if anybody else has any concern, is we have things put, I know everything else, generally what's going to be discussed tonight in closed session, except that. I don't like surprises. I didn't like the surprise last time. Let's see what tonight brings.
So Mark, I apologize because, and I'm old now, so I don't remember back from January 2021. But let me ask you, was this something that was done under board self-governance? Because
Yes.
I realize, I understand what you're saying, that you felt that you were gone after for a specific incident, but and I was at the meeting, I don't remember this as being something with anyone going after you. Somebody questioning.
It was either the 7th or the 21st. I can't.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not questioning the date. I'm saying I don't recall there being something where you were bombarded or that there was something that was specific to try and, look, I know in terms of committees, and some of us will be on more committees than others, and we'll do more work, and the reality is, we are volunteers up here. I've always said that. We're not getting paid to be here. We get paid to be somewhere else,
Yep.
generally during the day, and we're here out of the goodness of our heart, and because we love the district, we want to see the district well-run. So, I don't know what to say to you in terms of that. I can tell you on my part, as the person, as the president who sets the agenda and put board self-governance on, my intention is not to ambush you or anybody else up here. So I will set your mind at ease. I don't want you to think that there's any type of bad surprise waiting for you. That's the only thing I can say to hopefully put your mind at ease.
And Mark, when you asked if anybody knew what I also thought you were asking.
No, I meant the topic of self-governance for tonight. I apologize.
That's okay.
I apologize.
No, that's okay. I was going to say, I know what board
Yeah, no, I
self-governance is.
apologize. Yes, I meant the topic.
We should all know what board.
Because there has to be a specific topic to be talked about in closed. That's why I apologize if I misspoke.
Well, I think it's exactly what Matt said, what he read. If the board wishes to discuss the evaluation performance of any public officers.
And it could just be general public officers, but the one thing I just want to, whenever we have employee ID numbers on that, those people are always RICed. And the other thing to remember is that you're a board of 9. However, you do have a individual who is a member, a non-voting member of your board under the law. And that's your chief school administrator. So, you're in some ways a hybrid. You're a board of elected officials, and you have a de facto board member. It's not de facto, it's in the law, that's not a voting board member, but is there to lead you guys. So I think when the topic of self-governance involves the board as a whole and your chief school administrator, I'm not aware of anyone being, selected for a discussion tonight. This is more just a general discussion about board self-governance.
Yeah, like I said,
Right.
it happened in January of last year. I don't know what the topic is about tonight, but I hope it doesn't happen again. It's unprofessional, and it's something that should not be done on this board.
I can't speak to that.
That's okay.
I intend to have a discussion, I'll be honest with you. I actually have kind of a little activity for us to do, because I do believe that, we are supposed to be a cohesive group. We're a consensus-seeming group, so I'd like to see us be able to work together. And when I say that, I don't mean that we always have to agree on every single thing, but it's good to have people that you sit alongside with and can work together. So that's what I have on there, Mark, just to give you a sneak peek. It's something actually nice and fun, I promise you. There's nothing negative about it. Where I work, we talk about nurtured heart approach, so I believe in energizing positivity and not the negativity. And so that's what I see on my part. So, did you have a?
No, just a comment. Mrs. Lax, I wanted to thank you for the wonderful job that you've been doing with, leading the board and kind of, having open discussion on a lot of topics. I'm really looking forward to whatever session you have planned. I didn't answer earlier because I do know what board self-governance is. I didn't know specifically what we're going to do, but after hearing what you're going to say, I think that's really needed. We're all here for a common purpose. We're here because we care about the kids, we care about the communities. Some of us are no longer parents with kids in the schools, but we appreciate what the schools have done for us. And you have a hard job up there, Mrs. Lax, and I just want to let you know I appreciate it.
Thank you. We all do. Yes.
I also wanted to say, Lori, that I appreciate, you're talking about like a team building?
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate
Not
the.
trust falls, though.
I'm sorry?
Remember trust falls for Stoke? For all the East Brunswick graduates would know. Come on, Robbie, you remember? We went to Stoke, we did trust falls. Sorry.
Trust falls.
He's Rob, sorry.
Is that the thing where you fall and you
Yes.
hope everybody
And everybody
catches you?
has to catch you.
Oh, I'm not doing that.
Well, I
No.
said not that. We're not
No,
there yet.
no.
I'm building up to that, but we're
Oh,
not there
okay.
yet.
I'll do it with
I'm
Mark.
starting slow.
But I want to also say that if putting this on, I think is a good idea, because it gives us an opportunity to have a discussion as we need to. And I thank you so much for taking the time to bring us a team-building exercise. I think that's a great idea.
Hopefully it involves eating chocolate chip cookies.
And I apologize, I don't have chocolate chip cookies. I'll do
Yeah,
it.
chocolate chip
I'm
cookies
so busy, I'm
involved,
sorry.
Lori?
No, the next time. My big event is next week, once I'm done with that. Chocolate chip cookies.
You didn't bake?
So
Forget
since
it.
this is going to be a team-building fun thing, would it have been appropriate to have announced it, or, I might be confused, that's why.
There's nothing to be confused about, I promise.
I-
It's nothing to be confused about. So board self-governance is just something that we as a
No,
board
I
have
know
the
what
right
it
to
is, but I'm
do,
just saying that
But it's,
if there's just self-governance and it's on the agenda, then why couldn't it be described? I'm just asking. I don't know.
Well,
Because it raised his, hair, so
well, as I said, I
don't want to see him
apologize, because
upset.
certainly I would never, I don't believe in trying to, look, as I said, we're all volunteers, whether we agree with each other or not, the reality is, we all dedicate time to being here. And I think it's admirable, every single person that sits up here that does that. So, as I said, we don't agree on everything, but the reality is, I'm truly sorry, Mark, if by putting that on there, if that gave you any kind of nervousness or thought that there was some type of ill intent, because it honestly was not, so.
I don't think that was your intention, but
No.
self-governance is more of a disciplinary action. If you read the statute as prescribed in there, it talks about evaluations, discipline. I don't mean to be mean to employees, but when we race an employee, usually it's a negative thing. Very rarely do we go and do team building exercises. So, like I said, it got me concerned because as we saw earlier tonight, in the absence of information, that void is filled with other things. So the only thing I can rely on is, why are we not being told what we're
My
discussing in
sincerest
closed session?
apologies, then.
So, yeah, no, it's not, I know you didn't do it intentionally,
and I
but
do.
I don't
apologize
think it
to my
fits under
fellow board
government. I don't
members
think it
that
fits under governance.
My intent was to, as I said, was to work together. But as with anything, that, you know, we will have discussion. It's not,
I got
it's
you.
not meant to be, and it's certainly, I can assure you, it's not meant to single out one board member versus another. It's working together as a whole, because there's a lot, and as you can see by the public portion and people coming out to speak to us, you know, and just a lot of the things that go on in the district, we have a lot on our plates, and the more cohesive a group that we can be and the better we can work together, then the better we run this district, or ensure that the district is well-run, so.
I just want to, I think, Mark, what you said is right. That section of the statute often connotes discipline. But if you recall, very often when you're talking about promoting somebody, giving somebody elevating somebody, evaluating your superintendent or your business administrator or Dr. Bowley or Mr. Figueroa, we race them. We have an evaluation. So it really, self-governance, it's almost, self-governance, I think really what it's connoting is more self-evaluation and that. So it's evaluative as opposed to disciplinary. And again, as I said, board members, there's actually case law, a board itself can't discipline a fellow board member. You know, you can't pass a resolution to censure a board member. The only body who can do that is called the School Ethics Commission. But that's not, so I understand why people would look at this and say, oh my goodness, this could be disciplinary. This is not that. It's more of self-evaluation and having an honest dialogue among board members.
But I do sincerely apologize if I gave anybody the wrong impression, so.
And I didn't think I was the target, but, you know,
No,
it's,
certainly not.
I just had to make comment on it, so thank you.
Sure. Well, as you can tell, we do have a need for closed session, obviously, and I know that everyone is probably really jealous that they don't get to be part of it now. Or maybe not, maybe you're all running. Whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion at a public meeting, and whereas the subjects are within the exceptions to the Open Public Meetings Act and are permitted to be discussed in closed sessions, whereas the Board of Education intends to discuss matters as follows, those items listed on tonight's agenda. The length of the closed session is estimated to be 1 hour, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and action may be taken. May I please have a motion to go into closed? Mr. Carangelo, Mrs. Becker, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. We are in closed. Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming out.